Welcome to the world's only Animorphs podcast.
That's right. That's the new Megamorphs theme song anyway. Welcome, everybody. Much like that rock and roll opener said, it's the world's only Animorphs podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm Michael.
And I'm Max. Hi.
Guys, we're here. We're finally doing it, Max.
Welcome.
How do you
Thank
feel?
I feel great. I'm tired and exhausted from work, but I feel great because this is fun.
This is commitment to the podcast. This is commitment to the series of Animorphs. Max loves it so that he came over here after working a long, hard day for our long-awaited Megamorphs live stream. That's right. What we're going to do today, we're going to get into some Megamorphs talk. We're going to go kind of down the plot points. We'd love to hear your feedback about Megamorphs. Any opinions that you have, drop it in the chat below, and we will respond. Any questions that you have for us, of course, we are the resident experts on YouTube tonight anyway that are live.
Right, yeah.
So we put it out there, and we kind of framed it this way as we get to some Reddit comments here shortly. Basically, the idea is Megamorphs a kind of a overshoot, like kind of an exaggerated? Is it too exaggerated for early on in the series, or is it a good leap forward in the series? What do you think, Max?
I think it's a little of both. I think where the exaggeration comes in for me is the fact that they went ahead and gave him almost like a false start in my mind. Axe gets his own unpictured point of view in this book.
Actually, on page 82 is the first ever Axe narration. That's where that's his first ever narration on page
chapter 15.
Chapter 15. That's right.
Yeah. So that was a little. I was a little back and forth on that. I wasn't sure how I felt because I kind of wanted him to debut, so to speak, his perspective anyway, in his own book. He hadn't had his own book yet. Granted, it was the next book, but...
Yeah, because this falls in line... Megamorphs comes in after book 7, which is the first book where the Elemist appears with Rachel on the cover, right?
Yeah.
Book 7. And so that's where we come to next. And that's where we're at in the list of Animorphs podcasts. Just so you guys know, for the podcast, we're going to do this live stream, right, Max, for each every extended series book. Yeah. And we have quite a few right here in front of us. Show them off a little bit, Max. What do we got?
We got Megamorphs one. That's the one.
Of course. We both got copies of that. These are some from my personal collection. Max has a bigger collection, but my collection is here right now.
It's currently present, yeah. Andalite Chronicles, that's going to be
very excited for that one.
Next big one that we do.
So we did determine Andalite Chronicles is after Megamorphs.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
According to this chronological list.
If it's on the internet, it must be true.
Especially if it's on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And open source edited,
There you
go. We've also got Visser. That's going to be the last one. Yeah, that one's all pretty.
That's a really cool picture of a...
Unless we do the Alternamorphs. I do have those, so we can...
Should we do an Alternamorphs?
Yeah.
Alternamorphs live.
Yeah, except for I'll sit over there and you can sit over here.
Or we could do like 6 different ones and do each timeline.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have
cool.
to. Yeah, because we'll have to investigate those books and see how many different endings there are, and I guess somehow go through them all during the.
It'll be fun to pick our own and then see how different it is.
Yeah,
that one I'm looking forward to as well.
This is probably one of my favorites, the Hork-Bajir.
Me too. In my mind, the Hork-Bajir Chronicles is like. It kind of has the best representation of another world. I remember the descriptions of like the home planet and like all the trees that they live in and stuff like that. This one is just like, this has got to be the thickest Animorphs book, right?
Yeah.
Andalite Chronicles.
I think it is. Yeah.
And the one maybe with the coolest artwork. But
alas, eye.
We are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here on the world's only Animorphs podcast.
As
we do sometimes. Sometimes we go off on side trails. It's Megamorphs 1, The Andalite's Gift. I think we should start with the cover art. What do you say?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So what I was getting at before, even the cover art, it's so like... It's a little bit different from the rest of the series because there's no axe, first of all, on any of these.
Right, yeah. He's omitted from all of everything else about it except... He actually gets a perspective.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't get an image.
He's the only one in the book, because if you remember, or if you don't, the Megamorph series were laid out like each chapter was narrated by a different Animorph.
Chapter 1, Jake.
Of course. and they're not like in a repeating order, but for each one there's also it's the name of the picture narrating or the name of the Animorph narrating and then a picture of all of them except for Axe. No picture for Axe.
You get a little picture there of Marco with still long hair, you know.
Do you think it's
You get to
possible
15 and
Do you think it's possible, Max, that they look at that they had started like the storyboarding and the planning for Megamorphs before Axe came into the picture? Before
even the 4th book?
Do you think? Because why else be so unprepared? Because there's no picture of Axe on the front. There's no picture of Axe on the inside.
Maybe it was an intentional thing. Maybe they intentionally omitted him visually since he hadn't yet been on a cover, but they still gave him the perspective because he was present.
They wanted like a big reveal for the next book, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, he's in the next book.
Yeah, the very next book, book 8.
So it was all
Axe's
thought out.
Premiere, yeah.
Of course, with Megamorphs, I'm sure there are ghostwriters, obviously, because there's so much going on in this book from so many different perspectives. And K.A. lists a few ghostwriters. I think they're ghostwriters because I think we've determined that she puts them in the front of the book. Jane Fywell, Craig Walker, Tony Alicia Martin. These 3 people who morph my scribbles into books.
Tanya Alicia Martin is one of the ghostwriters. I know for a fact. I just read her name a second ago as the first Alternamorphs author.
Yeah?
So she was the main author for the first Alternamorphs, and there was another lady for the second one. Or might it be vice versa?
Is that right?
Let me go down there. Trusty wiki.
Everything's
right
on there. We have good reference points.
Yeah, Tanya Alicia Martin.
Of course, we start off... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Alternamorphs 1, March 99. This is a game-style book that exists outside the main series continuity.
Okay.
Game-style.
Game-style book. Well, they were cashing in on all of the choose-your-own-adventure books that are coming out at the time. Can I have that, please? Thank you, our producer, lovely Lauren. This is a big reveal for later on, Max.
Oh.
I'm going to show you guys something. You guys who have tuned into the podcast or tuned into the live stream right now, there's a big reveal coming. I'm going to show something to Max that he has never seen before, and I've never actually told him about. But we're gonna see it towards the end, so you got to stick around to see.
Yay!
Okay, so before we get into actual plot
it's like
lines,
Christmas but early.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get into a few plot lines and like actually what happens in Megamorphs, I put it out there on Reddit saying, is this a fantastical story or is it a big leap forward in the series? And we got some feedback. This is from Whoa, That's Offensive on Reddit, who says, I love Megamorphs, but I think it's a little far-fetched. The whole, and Rachel happens to temporarily have amnesia while all this is happening, part always seemed to be a little bit of a lazy way to add higher stakes to the story, but doesn't stop it from being a good read. And then another Reddit user says, I think it's great. I love the multi-POV concept and the split team aspect with Rachel missing, and the cover was super cool by Dayamanolala. Yeah, on Reddit. And then somebody else says, Megamorphs 1 is underrated. It was the first book where you got everyone's point of view. That's true because everyone had a book up until this point.
First time you hear from Axe.
Except for Axe. Yeah, the first time you hear from Axe. The pool party scenario was pretty funny. High stakes with Rachel lost and morphing at random. Trash cans. Plus, Cassie saves the day. 12-year-old me read the heck out of Megamorphs 1. And it was exciting when it came out. But it did have a little bit of a different flavor, from the rest of the series. Like, there seemed to be a lot more happening.
Mm-hmm.
High stakes, as they say.
Indeed. Yeah, dude, this book went to town. All the different stuff that it pulled out. Excuse me. Let me get out of that.
You're good.
It's right there.
It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
A little frog in the throat happens sometimes.
Maybe I'm already morphing. Is that what it is?
There's a frog morphing in your throat, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Trash cans.
Good old water.
That's right, trash cans.
Day.
So we get the first peek of the gigantic, swirling, gnashing teeth tornado thing on page 27.
Do you have that in yours? Do you have the iron-on?
What page is that on?
122.
122. Let me see if I have that, at least the remnants of it, because it definitely wasn't in here.
I was going to say, it should just kind of naturally open to it.
There's a part in it where it once was.
Aha.
Does anyone else out there have Megamorphs 1, a physical copy, and have the actual iron-on thing? So that's like an iron-on for a shirt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the coolest things about these copies. What does it say on the back there, Max?
Iron-on instructions. How to
I see.
use Animorphs.
It's just
Iron-on
instructions.
transfer.
I thought it was like a Easter egg story plot point or something like that.
No. The key to a quality transfer is applying firm, even pressure for 1.5 to 2 minutes.
It's all about the pressure. It's all in the wrist pressure.
Under pressure.
Yeah, we didn't use the iron-on. Yo-Yo says in the chat, why didn't you use the iron-on, Max, back in the day?
I think I had a desire to preserve the book as well as I could and not alter it. Although, knowing what I did to the very first book that I had, maybe that was
The first books, I don't know if it's because we read them a whole lot, but my first book is in bad shape too. It's like the cover's all bent back. The lizard, I think the pages are coming. Yeah, see.
Same with mine. Half
the
of my
first one's
pages
got
are
a lot of wear and tear.
And I don't even understand, because I don't think I particularly went back and reread that one a whole lot or anything. I don't remember trying to restart the series after I finished it, but other than now.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason and maybe it's just because of the age, maybe it's because of the type of glue that they used at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Could have been it. Scholastic really got their game together.
Because my book 3 was also in shambles, but then book 4 was pristine.
Yeah, that's very true.
Book 2 has disappeared. It's probably with Hork-Bajir, wherever he's at.
So we get into the story here. The tornado first comes out of nowhere. It ends up being Visser 3's pet. We learn that this thing is called the Valik. But when they first start the story, there's this. It's basically, what is the description here? Let me find the first description that they give over here on page 27. When they say, of course, there's this whole, swimming pool scenario where Marco wants to morph into a mouse and chase the girl who didn't invite him to the party. One of several examples of the early Animorphs using their morphing skills outside of missions. Yeah, using morphing skills outside of missions to actually go and cause shenanigans and things like that. So Marco says, as he stood up, it was so sudden and so complete that everyone just froze. I looked up. The sun was hidden behind a swirling cloud of dust like a flat tornado, a tornado in a clear sky. The dust swarm grew solid, and within seconds it assumed a shape like nothing ever seen on planet Earth, and then it struck. Did you have a hard time picturing the dust monster, the dust tornado, in your head?
Yes and no. I definitely couldn't get too much specifics on it. I couldn't put a face on it per se.
Yeah.
But I could get the idea of what it was, and it made me think of, at the time, a Crash Bandicoot type of boss or something you would have to fight. Just crazy, kooky, all this dust swirling around, and then all of a sudden it's got chainsaw teeth and stuff. What?
That's the thing. It's I can't nail down. I actually Googled Valik images earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I couldn't find one. There's no Valik fan art out there. There's a shortage of Valik fan art. But Tobias describes it as a tornado that was getting tighter, and then he says, let's see. He says, I want to find the part. Oh, yeah, here we go. It said it was a creature, a beast made up of gnashing mouths and whirling blades. And they keep talking about how many mouths it has. How do you have a dust storm creature that has mouths and blades on it?
Yeah,
Hork-Bajir blades. Don't know what kind of mouths, but a lot of teeth and stuff like that. It's basically just something built to destroy everything.
Yeah, it's a bunch of nanobots.
Came from the moon of Jupiter, right? One of Jupiter's moons?
I
think that comes into play later.
Probably.
And where's Rachel during all this?
I can't remember now where they said all those little micro beings.
Yeah.
Derived from space somewhere.
Where is Rachel in all this?
Rachel
was she crash into a tree?
Conked.
Right,
yeah, she was in a in her eagle morph, trying to meet up with Tobias. She gets bum rushed by some pissed off smaller birds that think that she's after them for some reason. She gets knocked out of her flight pattern to a tree head first.
Here's some Valik fan art right here, Max.
Oh.
There you go. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a tornado.
Just we just need to put little clattery teeth and googly eyes on this tornado.
That's kind
and that would be Valik.
And then just this saw blade spiraling somewhere in there.
So
But yeah, she's knocked unconscious. Somehow manages to demorph in that interim. It was like her fleeting final thoughts before she fully passed out was demorph.
Yeah, and that is kind of a terrifying thing to just wake up. You're like half bird, half girl, or boy, I guess, and you like start to scream and you have no mouth. Instead, it's a beak, and you don't know like what you are or who you are. And then she's morphing. It's almost like involuntary morphing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but she focuses on it.
Yeah, because like the last. Okay, here it is. Down, morph out. I told myself, Rachel, morph out, and then I was gone. So yeah, the last conscious thoughts that she had were to tell herself to morph out. And it's funny because she's already doing like a third person thing, telling herself, Rachel, morph out.
Yeah.
As if somehow the effects of the anesthesia, the amnesia are already taking effect before she's even fully passed out.
Has no idea what she is. And how unfortunate for her that just right at the time when she starts involuntary morphing, now there's this monster sent from Jupiter's moons to attack only things that morph.
Right, yeah.
They programmed it, right? Like they programmed it.
Yeah,
to
they
just
trained it.
Yeah.
They gave it energy.
But it's always, it's basically like, it's a mystery up until they finally do give it a pretty good description. I think I marked down. Yeah, here we go. So page 187. So if you're going to do fan art, guys, for Valik, which we want to see, submit your Valik fan art. We got to have it. Put some googly eyes on a tornado. Call it a day. Let me find where there's... Okay, so here's actually what the Valik is. It was not one creature. It was billions. It was a swarm of billions of these tiny creatures. They'd evolve into a swarm that could come together and become a destructive entity of gnashing teeth and slicing blades. But in reality, they were separate insect-like creatures that fed on energy. And I think maybe I didn't find Valik fan art because I spelt it wrong. I was spelling it with a V-A instead of a V-E. Let's see if I spell it right. Veleak art.
V-E-L-E-A-K.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, there is some cool stuff, dude. Check this out.
Oh.
Okay, cool. So now we got some legit fan art, guys. Okay, update on the whole fan art thing. I was spelling it wrong. But we have the actual thing here. So here we go. Okay, this kind of has wings. It's kind of like a... I wish I could credit this artist. Sorry, guys. It's on DeviantArt. You see that, Max? That's kind of cool. I could see the teeth being kind of like within the thing like that. I even like this one, which is like sort of hand-drawn.
It looks kind of like a bat.
Yeah, I think this is the coolest one.
What's going on here, throat?
Yeah, you gotta clear that throat, man. And here's a random Max picture for no reason. Who's your favorite Andalite?
I was going to say the lieutenant commander that Axe spoke to. It's kind of a tie between Axe and Elfangor. Not that we know too many more than that, but
yeah. Definitely not Mr. Three's host.
You've got this love for Axe because you get more of his perspective more often.
Yeah.
Until you get to the Andalite Chronicles, where you get a whole load of Elfangor's perspective. In fact, the whole book's in his perspective, isn't it?
I'd have to say Elfangor for my favorite Andalite. Just because he's the one that gets it all started.
He's the start point.
Yeah.
Pivot point.
So he kind of launches everything, you know.
Launch point. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
So slowly they figured this out, man. And there's all these side stories, too. Like in this book, Axe is dealing with... we get a little bit better sense of it in number 8, the alien, where Axe is feeling this like duty to in fact, here's number 8, the alien, right here. He's feeling this duty to avenge his brother. And there's actually a scene on page 107 where he has the chance for the first time of 2, which is kind of a spoiler. He has a chance to actually strike down Visser 3 because because Valik gets Axe, right, and brings him up to the ship.
Yep, and then Axe is like refusing.
Yeah.
Axe is having this like micro standoff with Visser 3 of like, yeah, okay.
And Axe says,
"You're not gonna.
You're not really gonna do it, are you?" He's a young Andalite. He says, "I had not struck. I had been face to face with my brother's killer, and I had let him walk away." It seems to me that Andalites have comparisons to like samurai, kind of. It's all about honor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a martial artsy type of vibe to Andalites, the kind of the way they run things, don't you think?
Borderline, yeah. Somewhere between martial arts and militaristic. Because they've got a whole lot of chain of command type stuff going on.
Yeah.
But then at the same
Very
time,
militaristic.
Yeah, they've got all these rituals that they go through, like Axe's morning ritual, which we don't know about yet.
We got a comment here that Arbron was dope too. Okay, so I'll admit with you guys, the last time Max and I are on a read through of this series, so we are literally reading through Animorphs for the first time since we were kids. So I don't remember who Arbron is. Do you?
Arbron,
if you do, I was gonna say don't spoil it, but
okay.
But do you remember?
I think I do.
Okay, it's an Andalite Chronicles thing, isn't it?
I'm pretty
okay,
sure,
gotcha.
yeah.
It's like slightly ringing a bell. Reading these books sometimes is like watching an old commercial that used to play like in childhood,
like
you know,
Pizza
and then
Hut commercial. Share.
And then Kieran says Axe is the best Andalite, no question. Aximili Esgaroth. Aximili Esgaroth Isthel. Did you like the scene when Marco drives?
Yes,
Something tells me he didn't have a license.
Nobody's got a driver's license. They're all in junior high. They're not going to have a driver's license yet. One of them might. Tobias was the only one that could have gotten a hardship license at that point, and
he did have a hardship type of life. He could have applied for one for sure.
Absolutely, but he ain't gonna be driving anytime soon.
You like how they just stole Cassie's dad's truck? Like, we're gonna take this, and then we're gonna lie about it. You know? Well, that's what Book 9 is kind of about, is like Cassie's worried about lying to her parents.
She's having to do all kinds of stuff to make sure that she doesn't reveal their secrets. And she's feeling terrible about it.
They really had to think on their toes with this book. There was a lot of high stakes, like everybody said, you know, in the Reddit comments. Or like, this is like, I just felt like it was, even as a kid, I was like, okay, this is different from the other books, but it is called Megamorphs, so maybe it's supposed to take things to that next level, you know? Yeah. And I can't remember if the other two, there's 3 Megamorphs total, right?
4.
There's 4 Megamorphs total. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I can't remember if they go as intense with as the storylines are. You remember that scene in this book where Marco is like falling down in gorilla morph?
Yeah.
And then he has to morph
I
to
just
human?
looked through that a second ago when he's like, "Hey, Axe, I opened the hatch."
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, well, here we go." Yes, this is definitely not fun. We are most likely going to die. Right. He's got a very Spock-like attribute to him with the way he acts sometimes.
It's like, Marco, why are you yelling? You are hurting my head.
Or Data, for that matter. Yeah.
Data, there you go. Yeah, Data's the one. Yeah, Axe is kind of Data-ish, you know. That scene where Marco's falling in bird morph is pretty cool. I did want to point this out to you, Max, because we've brought this up during the regular podcast. Mm-hmm. Do you not have this in the back, the You Got Morphed contestant winner?
I do indeed. Actually, now that you've mentioned it, I did go back and look, it's a leopard.
That's right.
The first winner finally revealed.
Think about how cool it would be if that was you. If You Got Morphed content. You guys in the chat,
we should go onto some social medias and see if we can find Alexandra S.
Did you guys ever enter the You Got Morphed contest where you could
or if you're watching Alexandra.
Yeah, if you're watching Alexandra, drop a F in the chat. She said it's what animal would you like to morph the most into and why? And Alexandra S. won the contest. She said, "A leopard, strong, fast, and agile, respected by my fellow creatures. I'd be powerful and proud." I think she won because of the word agile. The contestant people were like, all right, that's a good vocabulary word. You get that, Alexandra S. But seriously, how cool would that be, to be in the back of Megamorphs? That'd be crazy, man. Oh, we got a comment just for you, Max. This is from Yo-Yo here in the YouTube chat who says, Megamorphs are like the DBZ movies. So, Max, you can give me some perspective on this. Tell me what Yo-Yo means.
Animorphs are more like the DBZ movies.
Okay.
Because they are completely removed from the continuity. Megamorphs, however, still applies to the main continuity. So they're more like this most recent Dragon Ball Super movie, which is part of the main continuity of the story.
Okay.
But, yes, very close.
But you can see where Yo-Yo is coming from, right?
Yes, I do, absolutely.
Oh, dude, so, okay, Yo-Yo, you're dropping knowledge tonight, man. Eric King. So Eric King was a contest winner, and that's why he got to be the Chi. Because do you remember in book 10? Do I have it here? No, I don't have it here. I think I had that one on Kindle. You had the hard copy of that. But in book 10, do you remember in the beginning it said for Eric King,
right?
Like in the introduction notes.
But I don't remember that being the name of the kid in the back of the book.
I don't either.
You're not talking about the guy that got morphed, right?
No, I don't think so. Because Yo-Yo just said Eric King was the best contest prize. So I think that maybe like because it definitely says for Eric King, and of course Eric King is one of the Chi, you know, in book 10. So maybe that was a name contest. I don't know. But also in book 10 is another winner of the morphing.
Yeah. And he got morphed into a polar bear.
There's all kinds of stuff back here. Oh, look at this. There's also a questionnaire about like Animorphs, because they want to know here in the back. Where did you first find out about Animorphs? Who is your favorite character? I guess they use this stuff to like form the stories.
This was algorithms of the 90s.
Manual algorithms is what this is. Study groups, you know? Yeah. It's funny. That's like how they build some of this stuff.
These are your cookies right here. You had to send them in manually.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, right. Eric King got to read himself murdering a bunch of people. Yeah, that's right. Yo-Yo, I think you're right about that. I think that was a contest because she dedicated the book to him, and it's weird that she would dedicate a book to somebody who's also like the name of a character. I think it was a contest.
Yeah. He's got it somewhere along the line. He was special to her in one way or another.
Let's go with that. Was Animorphs the first or one of the first book series to include contests and like questionnaires and interactive forums like they used to have back in the day on the internet?
I don't think so.
Was the first book series, young adult book series like that?
Well,
because it's right when the internet was starting, you know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe in some of the ways that they did, like the online interactive types, but mail-in contests like that have been around for a while.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a cereal box thing.
Ovaltine had their own... More Ovaltine, please. Like the Christmas Story. He's sitting there like decoding more Ovaltine. That was it. Yeah.
Well, I remembered that Scholastic had that forum where you could go, and it was just like Reddit or something, and people would just make posts, but it was all Animorphs based. And I'm like, that's got to be like one of the first interactions at that point, you know, to get that type of interaction with the fans and stuff. Mm-hmm. Rachel finally, so there's a lot that happens in this book. I want to get a little more plot based here. We can't skip over the part where Rachel is in the woods. There's a woman out there in the woods too who is obviously homeless, going on about yerks and like
gypsy.
She has a shack and she has like all of her clothes folded in there as if it's a store in the mall or something like that.
Yeah. She's like skitzing, thinking somehow she's still a shop clerk or something.
Yeah, but she was also a controller at one point. Do you think that lady was freed during the book 1 invasion of the Yerk pool?
No, I think she is a result of Kandrona starvation.
Okay. Had they destroyed the Kandrona yet by this book? Is that what you mean, whenever they destroyed the Kandrona?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was done in book 7, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I like that, Max. I like how you put that together. Okay, so what you're saying is the crazy mall lady who has the folded clothes and obviously isn't right in the head.
Yeah.
Maybe she was already predisposed to mental illness. Maybe it was having the slug in her brain that took her over for a while. But what you're saying is that because they destroyed the Kandrona in book 7, that this lady is a victim of that, her slug dying, and now she's crazy in the woods. I love it, Max. See, that's why I do a podcast with this guy. He thinks a different way. Do you have any wonders, Max? Any wonders about the book? I hate to spring that on you, but
I didn't. This is one of the few times I didn't actually write any of them down. And I was gonna, like, as we come across plot points, be like, "Oh, okay, that reminds me."
There are some questions that come into play with, like, when you get knocked out in your morph, because Rachel essentially got knocked out as a bird, and then so do you?
Yeah, I wonder.
Do you? Does that happen every time you get knocked out? Go ahead, Max wonders.
Is there some kind of a automatic response type thing that your body starts to do? Like, is it now part of its, like, part of your involuntary systems, so to speak? Like, whenever you cough whether you want to or not. It's your body doing something that it needs to continue to go. When you get an itch, it's because your body needs you to remove something from it. There's all sorts of reasons why your body does things. So I'm wondering if maybe now, because they've acquired this ability, their bodies have adapted since they've used it so much by this point, and it automatically will try to do what it thinks it needs to in order to be right.
So let me see if I understand what you're saying here. You're saying when the Animorphs morph into, let's say when Marco morphs into Big Jake the gorilla, he has adapted to the gorilla's different instincts to like scratch or to sneeze or cough and things like that.
No, I'm saying that their bodies have adapted to the morphing ability and they can execute it in a similar manner involuntarily.
Yeah.
Much like a sneeze or a cough.
Oh, I see.
If need be, whenever.
Because she's done it a few times. Like if Rachel had gotten knocked out in book 2, maybe she wouldn't have been able to power through and morph back to human the way she did.
Right, yeah. She probably would have woken up as an eagle.
Some kind of subconscious.
Tobias, yeah.
Some kind of subconscious control.
The new Nothlit.
Yeah. There you go. Sarah agrees with you. That was the first clue that the Yeerks were starving. I can get with that. Man, I had another thought while you were talking about that. What was it? Something about morphing through and them learning. Man.
You were talking about their bodies adapting to the morph, or the morph adapting. You were talking about Marco scratching himself.
Oh, what was it? I don't remember. Live here on the internet, ladies and gentlemen. That happens sometimes. But yeah, you got Rachel out there in the middle of the woods with some crazy lady in the thing, and then that catches on fire, and then somehow Axe is involved.
Yeah, Axe is running by, and he sees the fire, and he comes over, and he's like, "Hey, Rachel?
Yeah.
Is that you?"
And she's like, "I'm Rachel. That's who I am."
Or is that Winnie the Pooh? I haven't seen any of your fan art with any of the morphing, with clothes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. To be fair, it's kind of a high demand to ask for fan art of like what their morphing outfits would look like, which they never really got together, did they?
No.
Unless it comes way later in the series. See,
so
do you think that, what were you going to say, Max? Go ahead.
I was saying that we should get fan art of them in their morphing suits.
Yeah.
Somebody create a uniform for them. Also, the idea that we had from learning that Axe had somehow been able to morph into human with clothing on, but he doesn't have to so he doesn't have to put it on beforehand.
Yeah. Well, I think KA definitely, they had to cut some corners. You couldn't have naked, junior high kids running around, you know what I mean? So they had to make it so Axe could morph clothes, you know what I mean?
Eventually, yeah. So I wonder.
Max wonders.
Did he have to put on the clothes after he had morphed one of the preliminary times, and then somehow he retains those clothes as part of the morph now? Like somehow is able to mentally rewrite the DNA code enough to include the coding?
Well,
the clothing?
Him being an Andalite and having Andalites don't have the technology naturally. I was going to say in him naturally, but they obtain it just like the Animorphs obtained it.
Right.
Now
granted, maybe a little bit younger in relativity than humans than they did.
So are there Animorphs that do not morph on the Andalite are there Andalites that do not morph on the Andalite homeworld?
I think so.
Just ones that never get the technology.
We'll figure out when we get here.
Man, I can't wait to get to that. So did we determine Andalite Chronicles is the next extended series that we're going to read, right?
I believe so.
And do if you guys don't know, we're going through the entire series. So basically we read a book and then we record a episode on it. And we've released up to book 7 so far, but we've actually read up to book 10. And this is kind of something I wanted to visit with you, Max. What is your favorite book in the series so far? And second question, do you remember any books beyond that are kind of your favorite plot lines or your favorite books in the series?
My favorite book so far is still number 5.
Okay. Marco's first appearance?
Yeah, just because it was my first book. I have always kind of felt more like a Marco than a Jake or a Tobias or a Rachel or a Cassie.
Yeah. Although we all have a little piece of each of them in us.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. But I most heavily, what's that word? When you feel like you are similar to
Identify.
somebody. Identify. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the one. Identify. I identified with Marco the most. Sarcasm being one of the main reasons, especially at that point in my life. I was super sarcastic. I mean, I still am a lot of the time, but it's more situational now than just constant like he is.
Kind of outgoing but thoughtful at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I do remember some of the upcoming books.
What's one that sticks out to you as like, oh man, I can't wait to get to that one, or I remember that one from back in the day?
Honestly, it's the Hork-Bajir Chronicles for me. I mean, I love the Andalite Chronicles, and you get a lot of information out of that, and the Visser Chronicles, but I really love the overall story from the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
Well, you and I were talking about, I think no, it wasn't this one. Is there another Jake morphing a tiger book down here? Looking for book. What's under Visser right there? No, that's not the one.
Visser, that's the
Is
cockroach
this the
that
one?
you were talking about.
Yeah, here we go. This is
There you
it. Book 26, dude. I can't wait to get to this one. I actually reread it a few years ago. I believe this is the one where they go to like the Howler's homeworld.
Hey.
The Krayak. Remember the
Krayak, yeah.
Krayak? Yeah. Dude, this one is
That's who I was alluding to as who I think that Red Eye is that Jake saw.
There you go. That rings a bell. I think that these two books are two of the most out there books in the entire Animorphs series. Megamorphs 1 and book number 26, The Attack. There's just like two ones that are very far out there. 26 is definitely that's a classic, and it's just some of these just stick in your head. Do you remember where you were when you were reading Megamorphs?
Megamorphs, the first one,
Yes.
for the first time.
Do you have any specific memories in your room? Yeah.
I was in my room.
Yeah.
I still had an arcade game in my room, like a full stand-up arcade game.
Really? What
Yeah.
arcade game was it?
It, I oddly enough cannot remember the name of
You
it
had an actual arcade game
Yeah.
in your room as a
Yeah.
kid, and you
Yeah.
can't remember what it was?
because I just remember the game itself. It was one of those where you had the plane at the bottom of the screen,
Uh-huh.
and kind of like Space Invaders, you would be moving along, and the screen is scrolling down on
Yes.
you.
And you would have
Except-
different formations of ships coming in. And you
Yeah,
had-
and
was
you
it
would have to-
Galaga Max?
It wasn't Galaga.
It wasn't Galaga. Okay.
It was not Galaga. It was newer than that. It was some kind of like 101st Airborne or Top Gun or something like that. Some kind of obviously fighter jet based game.
Yeah.
And then
There was one
name for the game.
There was one called like Helio something, but that was on the NES.
But yeah, and you progress through and you kill the enemies, and they drop the special weapons, and you get different types of fire patterns and use that to get bonuses and high score and so on and so forth.
Did you ever play the Animorphs video game?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of
Game
hoping you
Boy?
would say, I think it was Game Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to Google it right now. Animorphs video game.
Yes,
What
in
do we
fact, I
got?
still have it.
You still have the Animorphs video game?
Yeah.
Dude,
it's
you
one of
gotta-
the few advanced games that I still have.
You got to bring that
SP.
down here, man. Yeah,
It
here's a
was SP.
screenshot from it. So was there morphing in the game? Obviously. That was the dumb question.
It was one of those games where you kind of like could easily get stuck at a certain point, from what I remember.
It's kind of like
That, and I
Oh,
don't
here we go.
remember all of this like color aspect.
Look at
This
the
looks like
Android,
a
dude. That's kinda cool.
PlayStation type of build or a computer
by
game.
Spooktacular. I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure how it's like a GIF
like a-
playing in Google search. I don't understand technology
That's-
anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a Hork-Bajir right there. I thought that was an Andalite. That's an Andalite. The other one's a Hork-Bajir. This is, I could like sit here and watch this. This is. Oh, we should point out also, speaking of watching Animorphs, here is one of the VHSs that I have. Of the TV show, and this contains.
Watch Animorphs on TV.
Yeah, there you go. This contains it contains the Stranger and the Leader Part 1 and 2, so it has 3 episodes on there. See, Tobias has dark hair, man. He's not supposed to have dark hair. Tobias has blonde hair, guys. Have you read the graphic novel? Tobias has blonde hair. The TV executives did not appreciate hair color, and I'm not going to stand for it. Come on, Nickelodeon.
They did give Boris the haircut though midway through the series.
That's good. That's good.
But
At least
look at that Andalite though.
Yeah.
Look at that Andalite.
Yeah, that's definitely like
Look
made
at-
out of like clay
look at that
and
Andalite.
fur. Look at that Andalite. Let's see.
Like the stalk eyes are too stocky.
Yeah.
I had to iterate.
But then what
Enunciate.
happens in
There
the
we go.
end? Cassie comes through
Where are
with
my words today?
Cassie comes through with maybe the morph that she relates to the most. Besides maybe the horse, I always see Cassie kind of one and the same with a horse.
What, the
morph.
fly?
Yeah, no, not the fly. The help me. No, the whale.
The whale.
That's how we save the day. Once we get to the end. First of all, am I leaving out any major plot points? I kind of wanted to hit these plot points. Honestly, we read the book a few weeks ago, and I did make some notes. Let's see.
So we've talked about Rachel and her amnesia.
Rachel and her
her
amnesia.
sporadic morphing therefrom.
Yes.
We didn't really talk too much about Darlene, but Marco is upset that he didn't get invited to her party. And so he and Axe go
Darlene, your classic mean girl.
morph into, was it mice or rats? Vermin of one sort or another.
Yes.
And they ran in there, gave her a whole bunch of hell, crawled up her leg and made her freak out. Then tried to escape into the basement, and that's when they first discover the Valik.
Yes,
Which
yes.
it tears their house in half trying to get to the Animorphs. And then Rachel randomly morphs and saves their ass. And so it flies off to Rachel, and then they're like, what's going on? And then somebody else morphs. I wonder if they could have somehow tricked Visser 3 into morphing, if the Valik would have gone after him.
Interesting. Yeah, you would think so, unless they programmed it. How do you program? This is another reason I think Megamorphs is a little bit far-fetched. I'm still a fan, obviously, but how do you program a dust storm that has teeth and blades? It's not, or did they? Because they say program, or did they say train? I
think it was train, and yeah, they train it by the same way you would a dog or any other animal.
Morph and give it a treat.
Well, yeah, give it what it needs to eat.
Come here, Valik. Come here, Valik.
Yeah.
That'd be a
In
good
this
dog
case,
name.
energy.
Yeah.
I think they give them the exhaust energy from their their engine burn off or something like that.
So I also think that whoever the writer was that was doing like Marco's dialogue and parts, he was on it in this story pretty well too. At the beginning of chapter 10 or page 210 rather, at chapter 41, this part literally made me LOL. As I read it when they're at the beach, and then Marco says, "I'm just saying, there are people who should be lying out on the beach, and there are people who shouldn't be," Marco said. "Do you see fat, hairy old guys in Speedos on Baywatch? No. On Baywatch, they have a law against it. David Hasselhoff kicks anybody off the beach who isn't good looking. We need the Hasselhoff law here. That's all I'm saying." It's funny, right?
I wonder if
It's
he'll
good old
still feel
comedy.
the same way in 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
When he's the fat old guy on the beach.
Well, he can, morph into any... Dude, speaking of morphing, and speaking of being at the beach, I guess, I watched a documentary this morning on Netflix called the Octopus... what was it? The Octopus Trainer, I think it was?
Yeah.
The Octopus Teacher. And I was like, dude, I don't think the Animorphs ever morphed into an octopus, did they? Definitely not early on in the series.
Yeah, certainly not early on.
Because I'm most familiar with up to like books 35, I think, and all the extended series up to there. Past that, I don't ever remember them morphing an octopus, but that would have been so cool because octopuses are like the smart. See, it's actually octopuses.
Octopuses?
That's what yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't know. Yo-Yo says, did you guys ever play that old game on the Scholastic website? It was called the Yerk Pool.
Yes.
Oh, they did.
Yes, I did.
You did play that?
That was one of my first online games. Yeah. You could,
Did it use like Flash? It was like a Flash game. I remember they had Flash.
Basically, yeah. You would try and walk through this maze essentially, and you would have controllers come out after you, and you had kind of Pac-Man-y in the sense that you had to like go a route that they weren't gonna end up running into you. Was basically it.
It's funny that a lot of video games from like 80s and 90s, like video games adaptations of other things, were like one game that they just changed the characters to make it fit whatever franchise, So it's like Pac-Man, but Animorphs Pac-Man or whatever. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so check it out, guys. This has been really cool doing this. I do want to reveal something to Max. after we get to the very end, which, the build up to Cassie's whale plan was really cool. And that, of course, is finally how they strike with the Valik. I want to see.
Weigh it down.
Because, what happened? It didn't, they bring Cassie up into the air. There's a lot. This book contains the most, multiple morphing from human to bird to whale to all these different things, and a few of them do it. Marco in the air morphs from gorilla to human to bird before he hits the ground. That's extremely tiring.
Yeah, And Axe, I think, had to go from human to Andalite, or no, he was still in.
He was Andalite, yeah. So I think he went Andalite to
just straight to bird.
Yeah, straight to bird. I like how Axe's battle morph is Axe.
Yes, just himself.
And of course,
when you got a tail like that, what else do you need?
You got a tail like that, what else do you need? As I repeat what Max just said, for no reason. I love the way they wrap these books up. This is here at the end where they say, "Then to my total amazement, she began to sing the deep, strange, haunting song of the humpback. The sound waves thrilled me. I don't quite know why. What are you singing?" Jake asked her. "What are the words?" "It isn't words exactly," Cassie said. "But if it were, it would be just one word. Hope." What were you going to say the word was? Were you going to say hope?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was okay.
I remember, more DBZ. Hope was what was written on the side of Trunks' time machine.
There you go. We're thinking, and we throw this around and joke about it on the podcast every once in a while. After the world's only Animorphs podcast, we might start the world's only DBZ podcast. But see, that would be different because
might actually listen to it.
That would be different because I have not seen those, and so I would be watching them for the first time rather than both of us. But we'll put that on the back burner. We'll put that in our pocket. Max, I want to show you something. Viewers, I want to show you guys something too. This is really cool. This is something that I've had for years, and I've been wanting to show it on this podcast, but I guess I've just been waiting to show this to Max, until the right time. And I think now is the right time. And and I also had to verify it to make sure that it was real before I got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I have here is a letter sent to young Michael in March of 1999 from the one and only Catherine Alice Applegate.
Hey, you did mention this at one point.
I did mention that?
Very vaguely.
I think I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And a gigantic Animorphs fan, of course. And so I wrote in to KA just to say, I love the books. And then I asked her if she had individual pictures. What I asked her was, could you send me a picture of you and sign it? Send me I didn't know the word headshot, but what I was asking for was a headshot of K.A. Applegate. Yeah. And then she responded to me. I received this at school. Read it, Max. Read it off.
"Dear Michael, thank you so much for your enthusiastic letter. I'm sorry I've taken this long to send you a personal reply. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the Animorphs that I can send you."
She misunderstood, but that's okay.
There are some on the Animorphs website that you can download. Thanks for writing, Michael. Enthusiastic letters like yours mean the world to me and inspire me more than you can know. Sincerely, K.A. Applegate.
Let me show this to the camera.
That's badass.
Isn't it cool, man? Check this out, guys. Talk for a second, Max. I'm going off my...
The framing on there is really cool, too. Is that one that y'all picked out for yourself, or did she put is that her stationery that's
It's her stationery, which has animals and stuff. My mom framed it for me because I was so psyched about it. And honestly, I got this back, when I was a kid, back in elementary school. And I was like, okay, it has an actual, signature on there. And I was like, oh, my mom did this and faked the signature just to make me happy, or oh, Michael got an answer back or whatever. But I've actually gone online and verified the signature against other K. Applegate signatures, and there's a great the Animorphs collector on Instagram.
I was going to say,
I'm going to verify that handle, but you know who I'm talking about.
The Animorphs collector.
Yeah, the Animorphs collector, and she's got some signed stuff, and so I was like, yeah, this is
that's her signature.
That's her signature. I'm going to show it to the camera again. Here we go.
Yeah, so I wonder.
Max wonders. What do you got, Max?
Where the thought I just had went.
Isn't that the best thing when you're doing
if the Animorphs collector, there it is. If the Animorphs collector has any other letters also from K.A. Applegate, or whether they be to her specifically or just ones that she's collected.
I'm trying to find her on.
If they've got that same stationary if it's got all the animals and everything on the bottom. That's
yes,
what I wonder.
that would be cool. So another guy that I went to school with, got a letter too. I think maybe we were writing the letters as a school project or something like that. But he got a letter back from her, and it did have the same stationery.
Hey,
so
verified in my mind.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Animorphs Collector does have a lot of stuff on there.
See, now that's what the tale of Dragon Ball Z is actually all about. It's Vegemorphs.
There you go.
All of their names basically are some kind of vegetable.
In DBZ?
Yeah.
Really?
They're like Goku's actual Saiyan name is Kakarot, which means carrot. Vegeta's vegetable. Raditz is radish, so on and so forth.
Max, all right. So what is next for the World's Only Animorphs podcast? What do we have next? We're doing
Book 8.
Book 8 will be released next. That's right.
Book 8, Axe's first book.
Axe's first narration. And I believe that Book 8 is and we'll talk about this in the podcast, but I think this is the first time you actually see an Andalite in the entire series. Was Book 8.
You got Book 1 on you?
Yeah. I don't think there is one. It's just the Book 1 is just the lizard in the shoe. You know?
Yeah. And it's the Andalite Chronicles that it's got his eye on. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, you guys are right. That is cool when creators respond to fans. But yeah, so it's the World's Only Animorphs podcast. You guys, this is really cool. This is the first big live stream that we've done, and it was really fun to get you guys' interaction and to hear from other Animorphs fans is awesome. There's a whole I don't want to say community, but I guess it is a community. You know, if you like Animorphs and if you're super into it, then you feel that connection, and you had that moment at some point in your life reading these books that Max and I also had. So we're all here tonight just kind of sharing that together. And I think it's been really cool. Isn't it cool to see feedback and chat?
I say we start getting together with some of these other Animorphs figureheads, so to speak, actually create this community and build it up a little bit more.
I agree, man. I mean, we're in the infancy of this podcast, basically. We've released, this is our 8th episode, I think. And so we're going to, I like that idea of getting a network of
graphic novel.
The graphic novel as well, yeah. I like the idea of building a network and just keeping the story alive until the movie comes out and just ruins everything, you know?
Oh my goodness. Have we gotten any more update on other than the Applegate duo dropping out?
The creators leaving. That's all we have right now. That is the latest movie news. But
what about the next Chris Grimes? When's the next novel?
Chris Grimes releases his art pretty often on Twitter. And he'll say I just finished this storyboard today, and it'll be Cassie and Jake, holding hands or something like that. And so I believe that Chris Grimes is gonna adapt the second book and the third book into graphic novels, and I don't think there's anything past that. Do you guys know anything about that in the chat about what Chris Grimes is gonna do? I think it's gonna be the first two.
The graphic novel at all? Do you have your graphic novel here?
Kieran, yes, collabs with other podcasts. Absolutely. I actually have one particular one in mind that are really fun on Twitter that I want to reach out to. I'll talk to you about that, Max. It's a little off-the-air talk. But yes, collabs with other podcasts, guests with figures in the Animorphs universe. All this is in the future, but the core of our podcast is the books, and that's why we're going book by book by book. But it's too fun to do these special episodes and little things like that. So
absolutely,
we're gonna do these live streams for all of the extended universe books, all the graphic novels that come out, and then and you can catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. It's the World's Only Animorphs podcast. Max, you got any last words there, good bud?
I wonder.
Max wonders.
I saw the name Alaron earlier, and I'm wondering if that's who our friend in the chat meant earlier with Arboron.
Okay, Alaron. All right. Isn't Alaron a Star Wars thing? Alaron?
No hope for Alderaan.
Alderaan. Okay. Yeah, that's right. All right, man. Hey, thank y'all so much for checking this out, dude.
Or
this was
Aloran.
What'd you say?
Or is it Aloran?
Aloran, perhaps.
Alloran.
You guys are awesome. You can follow us on Instagram. I'll put it in the chat at Only Annie Pod. Elfinger's friend. That's who it is. We'll have to get there. We'll have to get there.
Did we mention all of the morphs? I think we started to touch on it, but I don't know.
All of the morphs in this book, were there new morphs?
I don't think there were actually any new ones. I think they just used from their existing. Well, unless you include the vermin that Marco and Axe morphed into at the beginning.
Let's see. I don't know, man. Yeah, there's let's see. Here we go. Okay, so let's list these morphs that they did. So the new morphs used wolf, tiger, and dolphin. Here we go. Morphs acquired humpback whale, mouse, and a flea. The flea was a big one in this. Big one.
Twitter and mouse.
That's right. Aileron, Visser 3's host and Andalite. Okay, so we find that out in book 8. Whenever they're in the field together and Visser 3 crawls out of the head of the Andalite host, and it's Aileron. That's who it is. There we go. Beautiful. We really put a bow on that. I love that. Thank you, Sarah, coming in with the knowledge. Guys, once again, it's the world's only Animorphs podcast. This has been so much fun. I've had a blast doing this. I didn't know how it was going to go. This was basically your brainchild, Max. We thought about this, and we kind of spitballed it, but you were the one who kind of, pushed and made it come through. So thanks for doing that, man. This is a blast. I'm having fun doing this.
Just trying to get, something up here for you guys.
Totally. There you go. You guys have a great night. Our next episode is going to be over book 8, so make sure you review for our little book club, and we'll see y'all later. Together, we fight.